Hi everyone, this is Andy from the Edutekkie interview series that's part of the OETC conference. And with me today is our keynote speaker at the conference, and I'm sure many of you in the EdTech world will know her. It's Vicki Davis from the Cool Cat teacher blog. And Vicki, I can read off a lot of your accomplishments here, but you're still a teacher at Westwood Schools in Georgia. You made the top 10 list of Mashable for Teacher Rock Stars on Twitter. I got to tell you, that's a pretty big honor. And you also do a bi-weekly radio show, which I just found out about. I feel kind of bad. When I was doing your promo, I saw you do a Every Classroom Matters show on BAM Radio. Let's see, and you've co-created more than 10 global collaborative projects. You've been part of Thomas Friedman's book, The World is Flat. And you won the ISTE's Online Learning Award in 2006, and a lot of projects on flattening classrooms, engaging minds. That's a co-author book, right?
Yeah.
And geez, I could keep going on and on, but let me just start with my first question.
Okay.
Vicki, I've been following you. Really, I started following you on Twitter, and then your blog, of course. And what you've always posted things, especially for me as an ed tech person, some really insightful, interesting things. And I forgot to mention you're also part of Edutopia, and you write for your local magazine. So those are another big publications that I think are really fantastic for teachers and educators all around. But your reach has really extended way beyond Twitter and your blog. And again, I met you at ISTE last year. I guess my first question is, tell us your EdTech journey. How did you get here from just kind of teacher, blogger, and what I would consider an EdTech Jedi Master at this point?
Well, I've been teaching for 13 years, and this upcoming December will be my blog will turn 10. So I'm right at 9 years of blogging, and the thing about when you decide to write, I really started writing my blog after I went to the GAETC conference in 2005. And I thought I was the only teacher not blogging, and not, at the time we didn't have Twitter, but not blogging and not using wikis, and I thought I was the only one. And I wanted to blog before I had my students blog, because I always want to understand what I'm doing with them. And I started the blog, We're the Westwood Wildcats, and one of my students was sitting there, and she said, well, Miss Vicki, you're cool, and we're the Wildcats, so why don't you be the cool cat teacher? That's where the name came from. I started writing, and I decided, you know what, I don't know a lot, but I can write as a beginner. So my first blog post, Wonderful World of Wiki Teaching, is still one of the most popular posts I've ever written. And I just wrote about the excitement when we started using tools that allow students to collaborate. So I don't have a lot of time, but every week, at least 2 to 3 times a week, I take about 15 minutes to learn and to share during my break. And it's amazing what can happen if you intentionally decide to level up a little bit every day. And that's really what I encourage teachers to do. Is we can't do everything. We're overwhelmed. We're tired. We have too much to do. But we can level up a little bit every day. We can improve just a little bit. And it's hard to change because we get comfortable. And we think that, okay, I'm doing a great job, but we can never settle, because it's that process of change and us learning. We're the lead learner in our classroom, so if we're not willing to learn something new, then we need to hand in that lead learner card. We lose our credibility. And the exciting thing is, with things like formative assessment, with global collaboration, we can really be lead learners more than ever before. So I just finished up a piece today for Edutopia on formative assessment, which there's so many great tools that can make us better teachers. So technology can be our friend. Not every technology is going to work. I'm one of those who really likes to use what's tried and true. I don't have a lot of time for the trendy, the fads, the silly stuff. I really focus on what works, because I'm an everyday classroom teacher, and I work really, really hard, but I don't have a lot of time. So my journey is really, I'm a teacher. I learn from other teachers. I'm so excited to be part of a great and noble profession, and I want to encourage other educators that they can improve, and to also, I think a lot of educators have lost sight of their nobility. And when we lose sight of that, it makes all of this change really hard, and we wonder why we're doing this every day. And we're doing it for the kids, and we're also doing it for a calling. It's an important job, and we have to remember that. So that's also part of my message.
Tell us about your OETC presentation. Can you give us a little taste of it?
Sure. So I'll be talking about the ways that you can flatten your classroom, which is from the book Flattening Classrooms, Engaging Minds. Although I've redone it, I always tweak things for my audience. So I'll be getting there a little bit early. I'll be meeting lots of you. Of course, I already know you, Andy, and I have some others I know. And listening, to your circumstances. So it'll be tweaked, obviously, for you guys. I've also added some material from my new book, Reinventing Writing, because it was kind of like, it's funny, kind of wrote the more advanced book first, which is still very relevant, and then I've moved to the more elementary or the more basic book because a lot of teachers don't understand how to write in the classroom. So after you listen to that, hopefully you'll be inspired to improve, to understand how you can connect with the world, but then also simple things for every teacher that you can apply. And the big thing is when you hear a keynote or when you hear anything else, to remember to pick 3 things. What are the next 3 things I'm going to do? And to come away with that. And the awesome thing is, when we're done with a keynote, it doesn't really end. I actually go after keynotes and look at the Twitter feed and look at what everybody says, and then we communicate afterwards. So that's kind of the exciting thing about it.
That's a really powerful thing. I think of Twitter just using it for resources, but using it for a presentation and actually using it effectively for feedback, I think, is something I haven't used and something I'll put into play, I think. As you talked, you said something about inspired. You mentioned, I think, inspired a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken. So what inspires you, or what inspired you? What inspires you now? What inspired you in the past, and who or what?
Well, it's funny. I just got a notice that I'm going to have 7 minutes left on this Chromebook, so I'm going to answer this question, but it actually relates. We have to stay plugged in to inspiration. I'm reading a great series by John Maxwell right now on how to be a great thinker. And I think that we have to renew our mind. We have to always intentionally be reading, be learning from others. And the nice thing about Twitter is you can do that in tiny little snippets. So what inspires me, my PLN, I use Feedly, I use Twitter, Facebook. I have my go-to people that I read a lot, and I always go to them. But then I always like to read books. So those are just some of the things. I do like to read out of field. So I just finished Jim Collins' book, Great by Choice, which is an awesome book. Actually, Good to Great. I'm reading Great by Choice. So I'm always kind of picking, what's next, and then I'll read in EdTech and just read. So I think being inspired is intentional. It's kind of like if you want to be muddy, you jump in a mud puddle. Okay, if you want to be inspired, leaders are readers and readers are leaders. If you want to be inspired, do things to inspire yourself, and we have to do that as teachers because we feel like islands. So as my example is, we have to be plugged in, and I don't know if it's going to let you pause or not, but I think I can get my plug here pretty quickly. Will you let me do that real quick?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, go
I'll
for
hurry.
it. Back with us? All right. So we got one more question, and then the Speed Geek question. What are your educational trends that you're following? Where do you see education going? What are some exciting things you're looking at?
I'm really hacking with a makerspace right now, and of course Genius Hour, I've been doing that for a couple of years. I've got a 3D printer. I'm kind of fussing with it. His name is Bob Marley because he smokes and he be jamming quite a bit. Yeah, me and my 3D printer are not quite friends right now, but this whole maker movement and the building of robotics is very exciting. Also fascinated, and this is really air, but this whole Internet of Things, like the ability to change color, the robotics that are coming out are really exciting. Every year, my students do what we call technology students. And for example, I had a student this past spring who brought in a drone and taught everybody how to do it. Well, he actually shot some film on his drone that he did with his video this past fall. So there's so many things happening, and technology is just kind of becoming coming all around us. I hadn't been brave enough to get the Google Glass yet. I think I have to get a new computer first. We had such trouble doing Google Hangout, and I had to get my Chromebook. But I think also just making things simple and using mobile devices and just using technology in simple ways that aren't distracting. I think for too long technology has been distracting and hard to use, and we need to just find what works. And I think every teacher should have kind of a toolkit. So, you know, on the one side, we've got real exciting, complex stuff us super geeky people get excited about. But then the other side, we've got massive numbers of educators, I think the biggest numbers we've ever had, who realize that it's the right thing to do to use technology in their classroom. And we're getting a lot of exciting things like clickers, that you don't really need everybody to have a device. And you can kind of scan your students and see what they know, and there's all kinds of cool tools out there. So it's an exciting time to be there. The last piece I'm excited about, change in publishing. So I've actually chosen to self-publish my third book, which is about teacher burnout and how to make it through that. And it's funny, every time I write a book, I have to live the book. So I've incredibly struggled with burnout for the last year and a half. So that's my next one. I'm going to self-publish that, and it's fascinating to see what's happening in the publishing business. And then my fourth book will be how to self-publish and how to publish a book, because I think a lot of educators are out there who have great things to say and they just want to know how.
Well, and I think you hit on something really powerful about today's technology, is the ability to get your message out there. It's kind of along the "you contribute your verse" Walt Whitman poem that Apple took off of. So I think that's a powerful message. Are you ready for the Speed Geek questions? There are three of them. Short answer? Okay. So I use this little Decide Now app, and I just click it. I've got some pre-set questions in there, so just throw out some real quick answers with these. So your first one is your favorite app.
Evernote and Wunderlist and Task Clone that link them all together. They're kind of like a three. They're like triplets.
Okay. Thanks. So your second question is, got my 3-year-old coming in, so that's the little voice you're hearing. Our second question is Minecraft, World of Warcraft, or do you have another?
Minecraft. Minecraft, I'm all about Minecraft. Our students participated in Givercraft. My friend Lee Graham out of Alaska ran that, which was an awesome project. My son loves Minecraft, big Minecraft fan, and there's so many ways to teach with it in the classroom. Awesome, awesome tool. Be interesting to see what happens since Microsoft bought them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checking that one out. Okay, here's your last one, and it is... Oh, this is a good one for you. What's your favorite educational blog?
Oh, goodness, I have so many. Honestly, it is, I love Richard Byrne, just because he tests everything, and I'm so busy that I know if he writes good. So, but I have a trillion. I love Angela Myers. I love Stephen Downs. I mean, I have so many that I love. Beth Still and Aaron Klein. I mean, I could go on, and I'm going to leave somebody out and get in trouble. And I read all the stuff on Edutopia. Edutopia is a fantastic group. So, and then I love podcasts. I listen to podcasts every day. Love them.
Really? Great.
I do. About 10 minutes a day at least. I like to listen because that kind of gets you pumped up. You know, when you hear somebody's voice. Yeah. I listen while I wash dishes. I had to do something to make me enjoy that task.
Great. Well, Vicki, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in Ohio, and I hope I'll see you at the ISTE conference too. So a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay, we'll see you in a month.